In this video, I'm going to give a quick rundown of the Epson P9570 and its new features, and then move directly into the problem areas that we have found with the printer, which is more what this video is about. The Epson P9570 has a head that is twice as large as its predecessors, making it twice as fast. It has easier sheet loading. There's a fancy new light in the printer, which is rather nice. And it has access to the head and cap assembly now, making it easier to clean and maintain the printer. And last but not least, it does not require matte black and photo black switching, which has been kind of the holy grail for Epson aqueous printer users for quite some time now. So the main problem areas of this printer that we have found are the following: paper skew and meandering, ghost printing, double printing, paper loading errors, and last, feed damage to the paper and the printer itself when stuffing paper up underneath the roll paper cover when paper comes off of the floor. So we'll go through these one by one. Here we go. Paper skew or paper meandering. I think sometime in the firmware they changed the message, but basically we are absolutely unable to load paper without getting a paper meandering or a paper skew error. And then the printer will ask you if you want to continue. Well, you can continue to try and reload the paper and open and check that it's well loaded and it's tight in the cores and that it's aligned correctly, but you'll just keep doing it forever. Our experience is that when you get a paper skew or a paper meandering error, you just have to say continue. Because if you try and fix it, you'll just never print. One of the most costly errors that we're seeing right now with the Epson P9570 is this blur that you see. And we'll get it at the end of prints. It's clear that the paper has meandered or shifted at some point, and we've really found no way around it. And there are times where we have thrown away quite a bit of paper due to the fact that we're getting this double printing. Now you see what you're seeing here is the beginning of the print, which is clear, and just a moment earlier, the end of the print. Here we go, the end of the print where it starts to get blurry as it comes out of the printer longer. This is something that we've yet to resolve and really don't know how to resolve. We haven't found the root cause and we don't know what it is, because clearly when it happens, the paper is edge to edge in the core or in the plugs as well. It's well mounted. There's nothing to indicate that it's shifting or skewing, except for, of course, the constant skewing message that you have to ignore, because if you didn't ignore it, you wouldn't print. But this is, in fact, an ongoing issue that we're seeing. In terms of resolution to the problem of the P9570 printing blurry or double printing, seems to be to play with the suction when you're printing. With heavy watercolor papers or stiff papers, it appears that turning the suction all the way up might help, although it's not resolved it for us. We think we're seeing the problem less often. With things like canvas and glossy paper, this might seem counterintuitive, but we've heard reports from other printers that the answer is to turn the suction all the way down to 0. So that the lateral, I'm just assuming that that's so that the lateral feed adjustment in the printer can actually move the paper, whereas maybe with heavier papers, you're trying to stop it from moving around to begin with. I'm not sure, but the answer does seem to be to just play with the suction. It might be on a substrate by substrate basis until this problem gets resolved somehow in firmware. One of the problems that we've been experiencing most with the Epson P9570 is different kinds of paper loading errors. We get constant errors loading, whether it be the sheet or roll being fed out, like you see here, failed to load paper, paper eject errors, paper skew errors. failed to, I mean, it just fails in so many different ways in terms of loading paper. We've been printing with Epson for 14 years now, and with this printer, we have never seen as many errors as we've seen with this one.
This video here is kind of a speed walkthrough of some of the paper feed issues we're having with the P9570. It's kind of intended for other printers who might have run into the same problem and are searching for this on the internet. And this here shows where the paper starts to fail, and it gets rolled up into the cover and eventually damages the paper. Going through the panel instructions, kind of waiting for the thing to load, loading paper. Obviously this takes some time. Now the paper's starting to get pushed back and forth. It's going to find out where the lead edge is. And as it does that, it rolls the paper back and forth. This is kind of where it starts to stuff the paper up into the cover.
Now what's happening here is it's exerting so much force into the paper cover that it's breaking this plastic piece here. Or it's pushing, it's pushing that plastic piece back behind the printer. And then it is actually breaking the pieces that hold the core plugs. It's really exerting quite a bit of force in there. It's damaging the paper, and we're having to put paper back on the roll. You can see here, this one's already been taped back onto the roll twice. So that's a lot of force. We're really not used to seeing a printer tug that hard on paper that it turns around and damages it like this, and then damages the printer itself in two places. One pushing the back side of the cover out, and then breaking this plastic piece here. And yes, I know I need to clean that. We actually clean it a couple times a day. Here you can see the paper roll being damaged again, where it's just gone back and forth, and the plastic pieces have been broken, and this has cost us a couple of service calls so far with Epson in the very short time we've had them. The answer to the problem of the paper getting stuffed up underneath the roll paper cover is to somehow print with that roll paper cover open. And while there's no official way to do that, we found a hack, a little workaround, and that is on the left-hand side of the printer. There is a small groove where the paper cover closes, and at the end of that groove is a little photo sensor inside that detects when the cover is closed. So if you just stick a little piece of paper in there, like you can see in the photo, you can trick the printer into thinking the cover is closed, and it will continue with the paper loading process. And if paper gets ejected beyond the point where it's supposed to, it will just create a loop above the printer, and you can just roll the paper back onto the core and start your print jobs normally. And that is our workaround to this problem. In conclusion, while we think the Epson P9570 does have some welcome new features, those new features are currently overwhelmingly overshadowed by the critical errors that we face on a daily basis. If you've had these same issues, are looking for answers, have solutions, etc., please leave your comments in the comment section. We would love to hear them, and we'll do our best to reply. We hope this video has somehow helped, and thanks for watching.